That evening, for instance, gasping by an open window and unbuttoning his tussore shirt, Vasilisa had sat over a cup of lemon tea and said to Alexei Turbin in a mysterious whisper, "When I think about all these things that have been happening, I can't help coming to the conclusion that our lives are extremely insecure. It seems to me that the ground," Vasilisa waved his stubby little fingers in the air, "is shifting under the Germans' feet. Just think. Eichhorn, and where it happened. See what I mean?" Vasilisa's eyes looked frightened. Alexei listened, gave a grim twitch of his cheek and went. Yet another omen appeared the very next morning and burst upon Vasilisa himself. Early, very early, when the sun was sending one of its cheerful beams down into the dreary basement doorway that led from the backyard into Vasilisa's apartment, he looked out and saw the omen standing in the sunlight. She was incomparable in the glow of her 30 years, the glittering necklace on her queenly neck, her shapely bare legs, her generous, resilient bosom. Her teeth flashed, and her eyelashes cast a faint, lilac-colored shadow on her cheeks. "50 kopecks today," said the omen in a lilac-colored voice, pointing to her pail of milk. "What?" exclaimed Vasilisa plaintively. "For pity's sake, Yavdoka, 40 the day before yesterday, 45 yesterday, and now today it's 50. You can't go on like this." "It's not my fault." "Milk's dear everywhere," replied the lilac voice. "They tell me in the market it's fetching a ruble in some places." Again her teeth flashed. For a moment Vasilisa forgot about the price of milk, forgot about everything, and a deliciously wicked shiver ran through his stomach, the same cold shiver that Vasilisa felt whenever this gorgeous sunlit vision appeared before him in the morning. Vasilisa always got up earlier than his wife, he forgot everything, and for some reason he imagined a clearing in the forest, the scent of pine woods. "Ah, well. See here, Yavdoka," said Vasilisa, licking his lips and looking quickly round in case his wife was coming. "You've blossomed since this revolution. Look out, or the Germans will teach you a lesson or two." Dare I kiss her or daren't I? Vasilisa wondered agonizingly, unable to make up his mind. A broad alabaster ribbon of milk spurted foaming into the jug. If they try and teach us a lesson, we'll soon teach them it doesn't pay, the yeoman suddenly replied, flashing, glittering, rattling her pail, swung her yoke and herself, even brighter than the sunlight, started to climb up the steps from the basement into the sunlit yard. Ah, what legs! Groaned Vasilisa to himself. At that moment came his wife's voice, and Vasilisa, turning round, bumped into her. "Who were you talking to?" she asked, giving a quick, suspicious glance upward. "Yavdoka," Vasilisa answered casually. "Can you believe it, milk's up to 50 kopecks today?" "What?" exclaimed Wanda. "That's outrageous." "What cheek! Those farmers are impossible." "Yavdoka! Yavdoka!" she shouted, leaning out of the window. "Yavdoka!" But the vision had gone and did not come back. Vasilisa glanced at his wife's angular figure, her yellow hair, bony elbows and desiccated legs, and suddenly felt so nauseated by everything to do with his life that he almost spat on the hem of Wanda's skirt. Sighing, he restrained himself, and wandered back into the semi-darkness of the apartment, unable to say exactly what was depressing him. Was it because he had suddenly realized how ugly Wanda looked, with her two yellow collarbones protruding like the shafts of a cart? Or was it something vaguely disturbing that the delicious vision had said? What was it she said? "We'll teach 'em it doesn't pay?" Vasilisa muttered to himself. Hell, these market women. How do you like that? Once they stop being afraid of the Germans, it's the beginning of the end. Teach 'em it doesn't pay indeed. But what teeth, bliss! Suddenly he seemed to see Yavdoka standing in front of him stark naked, like a witch on a hilltop. What cheek! We'll teach 'em. But those breasts of hers, my God! The thought was so disturbing that Vasilisa felt sick and dizzy and had to go and wash his face in cold water. Imperceptibly as ever, the fall was creeping on. After a ripe, golden August came a bright, dust-laden September, and in September there came not another omen but a happening that at first sight was completely insignificant. It was one bright September evening that a piece of paper, signed by the appropriate official of the hetman's government, arrived at the city's prison. It was in order to release the prisoner being held in cell number 666. That was all. That was all? Without any doubt that piece of paper was the cause of the untold strife and disaster, all the fighting, bloodshed, lyra and persecution, the despair and the horror that were to come. The name of the prisoner was quite ordinary and unremarkable, Semyon Vasilyevich Petliura. Both he and the city's newspapers of the period from December 1918 to February 1919 used the rather Frenchified form of his first name, Simon. Simon's past was wrapped in deepest obscurity. Some said he had been a clerk. No, he was an accountant. No, a student. On the corner of the Khreshchatyk and Nikolaevsky Street there used to be a large and magnificent tobacco store. Its oblong shop sign was beautifully adorned with a picture of a coffee-colored Turk in a fez, smoking a hookah and shod in soft yellow slippers with turned-up toes. There were people who swore on their oath that not long ago they had seen Simon in that same store, standing elegantly dressed behind the counter and selling the cigarettes and tobacco made in Solomon Cohen's factory.